In the preamble to his song Oh, singer-songwriter Dave Matthews described the debate about war in the Middle East as extremely polarized when he paraphrased the discourse as, "You're an idiot. No, you're an idiot. No, you're an idiot. No, you're an idiot." Hi, I'm David Dodge. Welcome to Green Energy Futures. Dave Matthews may have been talking about war when he said those words, but he could also be talking about the extreme polarization of politics, energy, and climate change in 2021. Today, we're going to speak with Dagmar Knutson, who's also tired of political rhetoric and thinks it's high time we sat down and worked through our differences when it comes to climate change and energy transition.
Well, I was inspired by my son who came home in April 2019 when he was in grade 9. And he goes, "Mom, we're the worst in the world." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he says, "Our oil sands, we are the worst in the world." And I said, "Okay, I know our emissions haven't always been the greatest, but do you know that they've come down 20 to 30%? He's like, "Nope, don't know anything about that."
That's Dagmar Knutson, mother and a chartered accountant at an oil field supply firm in Red Deer, Alberta. She asked her son if he'd heard of efforts in Alberta to reduce emissions in oil and gas and store carbon underground.
I said, "Do you know anything about that?" And he goes, "No, Mom, but our teachers say our textbooks are at least 5 years out of date."
This inspired Knutson to offer to write email updates on emissions actions being taken in Alberta for her son's teachers. This was well received, and it wasn't long before she thought, why not go big and organize a conference for teachers and students on energy transition in Alberta? So Knutson formed the 10 Peaks Innovation Alliance and hired one of Alberta's best-known environmental educators.
Gareth Thompson, the former executive director of Alberta Council for Environmental Education. Many of you are probably familiar with Gareth's great work, and I'm pleased to have him as the conference coordinator for 10 Peaks.
Knutson set out to attract the top folks from industry, environmental educators, and even yours truly.
I am very excited to announce our speaker list. We have amazing speakers. We have 5 keynote speakers from industry. The first is Susanna Pierce from Shell. She is the Canadian lead and GM. Secondly, we have Chelsea Donnellan from TransAlta, Adrita Hake from the Calgary Climate Hub. We have Peter Terzakian from EnergyFile, and of course we have you, David, which we are very excited to hear from.
So how will 10 Peaks help us and our youth get past the polarization and collaborate on building a sustainable future?
Well, I think it starts with our youth. I think the entire conversation has to be an and not an or. There's our traditional oil and gas industry, our conventional natural resources, and there is alternative energy. There is geothermal, nuclear, solar, wind, hydrogen. Those are all ands, and together we will move forward, and together the future will be clear.
There will be speakers, interactive sessions, and more. And while this sounds like something we could all use, it's just for high school students and teachers.
I think it starts with having meaningful, collaborative conversations, and that's what I'm hoping this conference will do, is allow us to start having those collaborative conversations. Conversations lead to change, meaningful change, on topics that we have in common.
So, are you a high school student or teacher tired of the rhetoric and interested in reducing emissions in the fossil fuel industry and building the new sustainable energy economy of the future? This may be the conference for you.
You can go to the 10 Peaks registration page at digits10peaks.ca. You can sign up there, but you can only sign up and register if you're a high school student or a teacher, because you need to use your high school domain name email address.
Knutson says only by working together can we build the new low-carbon economy of the future. Learn more at GreenEnergyFutures.ca. For Green Energy Futures, I'm David Dodge.